Meeting will come to order. Please rise to the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Carrie Behringer. Here.
Joe.
Right. Where's Paul?
Is he?
He's excused.
Oh, he's not back home yet?
No, he's excused.
I'm sorry. I thought he was saying he wasn't gonna meet with you. Sorry. Joe Lottie.
Here.
Robert Lairway.
Here.
Brent Peavy.
Here.
Carol Shannon, here. Dave Torgerson.
Here. We have a quorum. Agenda is before you. Any additions, corrections? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion to accept the agenda. Motion made by Laraway to accept the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Peavy. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We have the consent agenda. Anything to get taken out to talk about? Any additions or corrections? Seeing none, Chair will entertain another motion to accept the consent agenda.
Okay.
Motion made by Laraway to accept the consent agenda, seconded by Peavy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Motion carries. Reports and presentations. I do not have much to report except that, thank you for keeping up on all the extracurricular things that are going on with the county, Tim, and all the decisions that have to be made that I'm sure you've all been aware of, that will affect us with the failure of their millage. So they've taken the stand that they're going to, cut things rather than look at a different way of presenting it. So that's all I have. Mr. Manager.
You have my report in your packet, a few items I wanted to touch base on. First, we did receive not one, but two of the new AEDs. So this will look very different from previous AEDs you might be familiar with in that it's got a touchscreen on the front. And this is actually hooked into Isabella County Central Dispatch. So anytime there's a cardiac event within 1 mile of this, this will light up and give you a map right here on the front to go to the event. Yep, it's part of an initiative called the 4-Minute City. So the idea is that anywhere in the community, there's an AED within 4 minutes of you. So it's also a lot different than the ones you're probably familiar with that you've seen for years, where it's got different size pads for adults versus children. This has one set of pads, and on the front, it'll tell you when you're doing it, it'll prompt you, is this person under 8 years old, 10 years old? Are they, under 80 pounds? And then that'll instruct you where to put the pad differently on for a child versus an adult. It does all of it for you. You don't press the button to shock, it'll do it. And then it'll walk you through CPR if that's necessary. So we have two of these. We're gonna keep one in each building. The older AEDs that we have, we're putting one, we've always had one in the code enforcement vehicle, we're putting the other one in the red truck. So, we'll be, pretty well covered in the community. And with this, the app that goes along with it, you're allowed to pin drop 5 different locations in addition to where your AED is actually located. So with that, I pin drop all around the village. So anytime one of those happens, that alert on my phone is gonna come up as well. So it's a really neat program. The county got a grant from the tribe to fund this. And there was about 75, 80, I think that they got. So really neat. I think it's really a nice program. I like the way that, it ties in GPS so that you can go, to an event if necessary, because that's really a problem in, rural areas is response time. So, hopefully that will never need to be used, but if it is, it's something that we have for our community now. You may remember, that I told you I was submitting a grant application to Mishta to do a target market analysis for housing. We are a successful applicant of that. They're supposed to be finalizing the documents for Carol to sign. The charter requires that it be signed by the clerk, not the manager, so I had them send it that way.
I don't have it yet.
Haven't got it yet.
That's within 3 days, which
Yeah.
would have been Friday,
Friday.
but I don't yet have it.
Okay. Along the lines of grant project, we are struggling to get finalized plans from Row on our Cadbury Peak project. And this is rather frustrating,
What's the reason?
manpower. So I'm less optimistic that it'll be done in our budget year. It'll be on this summer. But more than likely, I think it's gonna slide into the start of our next fiscal year, which we're July 1 fiscal. Really 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, quite frankly, but,
How's that gonna affect the dredging? Why not doing the dredging?
no one wouldn't have.
It
any
won't be
impact.
that late.
No, it won't have any impact on that. It's just
Because our fiscal year ends June 23rd.
during June 30th, yeah, so. I'm not terribly optimistic that we'll be able to get that in and bid and done by June 30th, like we had initially asked to have it done, but. The state prefers it be done by September 30th, so the end of their fiscal year, so. I think that's gonna be our new target to get it done. At MML last week, I made my way around and got business cards from all the engineering firms there, because my recommendation to you is when we're done with this project to bid out engineering services. Most of you have seen or been invited, encouraged to do some training recently through either the MML or the Michigan Association of Planning, so. In your package, you've got a recap of what's been done, so far this year. And also one of the things that we, did last year is we adopted a formal training policy. And in that, we have a short survey we ask everybody to complete, once you do a training thing. That way we can judge the effectiveness of the programs being offered to encourage, as we update the plan, this is proven to be good, or, this isn't a valuable plan. Real simple, straightforward. I send you an email, because the survey is actually from our website. So we set it up that way so that when you take it, it just comes in as an email to me. I can put it in a folder and we can sort and organize it that way, as opposed to trying to go like through SurveyMonkey or something like that. Next week is spring break for most of our children around. Yours truly will be here. Jessica and Jerry have the week off. Mark will be in a couple of days, so not planning on going anywhere, so I'll be here. And then I did want to provide an update on what I know so far about service levels being continued offered by the county. Inspections appear to be safe. From what I was told this morning, that they're not expected to do any cuts in the inspections department, which makes sense because that is an enterprise fund. It is self-funded. So it is not something that is a drain on their service level to provide. I have not officially heard any definitive answer on road patrols. But what I am hearing mumblings of is a cut of about half of the road patrol staff. The county is in a very unfortunate position because the next election is August. And at the next election, they are submitting the allocation formula that they do every 4 years to the voters for approval. So the allocation formula is what determines their millage rate and the township millage rate and the ISD millage rate. So right now, the allocation formula gives them 6.61 mills, townships 1, and the ISD like 0.27, that range. My understanding is that if that is not renewed by the voters, it would revert the millages back to what it was prior to voter authorization in like 1984, 1980. So I believe it would drop them to around 4 mills. But here's the dilemma, and this has been communicated very delicately and professionally to senior people at the county, is that you need to understand that if you go out in August for an allocation vote and you don't have a plan in place to save road patrols, out county voters have no incentive to vote to reauthorize the allocation formula. Because if you are going to take the services they care the most about away, don't be surprised if they retaliate and vote no. And, you know, that comment has been shared by me with their leadership. And hopefully that will encourage, you know, better planning on road patrols, but, you know, we have had multiple conversations, I have multiple conversations with the sheriff and other people that, you know, we are certainly willing to be part of an effort that would, you know, present a road patrol package to the community to vote on. And so far, that has not been the plan that they are going to pursue in August, because they also have the parks renewal on the ballot.
Part of the confusion with that is why they went for an increase, knowing, or maybe not knowing. It's in February, they went, what, February increase, but knowing that they had to go in August to maintain what they currently had. It doesn't make any sense. It's very confusing.
Made that point to them. That
Okay.
point was made.
Yeah.
We also made the point that, you know, August is a lot more preferable for us to see a policing proposal, because if you wait to November, you know, we may be forced to put our own proposal out there, because we have to look out for our own interests as a community.
Yep.
And in that case, we're going to siphon votes away from each other. So.
Thanks. This is,
It's a leadership problem.
yeah, is there aren't there some organizations where they don't do it the way they're supposed to, then and the upper organization comes in and takes over? Like can the state come in and take over a county that's not doing it well? Would they?
There would need to be a declared financial crisis
Okay.
that would then be able to invoke the emergency financial manager law. However, the emergency financial manager law is despised by, the particular party that is in control of Lansing right now, and I would be shocked if they
Okay.
brought one in under any circumstances anywhere in the state.
Okay.
So-
You did bring one in, but didn't you?
Yes,
Different parties.
yeah,
So the EFMs, you know, Detroit had it, Detroit Schools, Flint, Benton Harbor. Is it Royal Oak? Maybe Royal got, one of the suburbs got really overextended on developing areas for film incentives. And then the state yanked the film credit out, so they had bonds they couldn't repay. It was kind of a one-off, but, you know, Granholm's administration had done it a few times. The Snyder administration was where it really became more popular in, you know, the Department of Treasury had training programs for, you know, municipal officials that wanted to become certified in EFMs, because they anticipated putting them in a lot of different communities at the time.
My question was, the process is still in place, but they can't do
Theoretically, yes.
yes, okay.
Like you, I don't think they will.
I would be shocked if they did.
So if you look at this in terms of the effect on us for the sheriff department, that's a lot of no-shows.
Yeah.
Animal control, marine patrol, fireworks.
Yeah.
Road.
Yeah.
County dive team, that's a lot.
Yeah,
I emailed my questions to, what's his name, Chris
Mhm.
Henry. I haven't heard back, but I sent it to him. I mean, the main thing, like the sheriff's thing went from, 4.2 million to over $7 million in a year. You know, why did sheriff's department get so expensive all of a sudden? I mean, that's a big, $3 million is a big chunk to the budget. You know, maybe start with some explaining and stuff like that, and I don't think they've been
I think they're,
upfront enough
No.
about things,
No,
and that's the biggest problem.
No, and that's very well stated, because you know, a critique that I think is very fair is they've not been transparent on the financial problem
Mhm.
and what the ramifications are and what options have been considered to resolve that, short of draconian cuts.
And that's snotty nose.
well, that's a leadership challenge.
Yep.
They're a little bit disarray.
You would think too, like, they just bought, you know, if they're in all this problems and they're talking about cutting the sheriff's department, then the next day, there's the cars on, that are leaving the graphics design, they bought 2 brand new cars for road patrol, it's like, this is bad luck too, it was like the day before the election or the day after, or something like that.
2 days after.
2 days after, yeah, yeah. Oh, nice timing. I know they probably ordered those cars 6 months ago, but you had to know they were broke 6 months ago, and
Well, they knew they were broke in March of last year.
yeah. I think they would get more support if they would have showed more of an effort to, you know, cut things and show that they can, you know, stretch a dollar. And then
Or if they just said, hey, we messed up.
my biggest thing is like, I think it'd be bad too if they cut the sheriff's department and stuff. It's just, they're kind of using that as like a weapon, you know, like this is what people are gonna care about, like, you know, okay, get rid of passports, you know, how, you can go somewhere else and get a
Yeah.
passport, you know, you only do that, what, once every 10 years, that's not a big deal. But, you know, the sheriff's department, you can scare people into owning for it. But
Well, and as Tim pointed out to them that if you're gonna do the service that, or you're gonna eliminate or cut the service that we use, there's no incentive for us to vote for it. Doesn't make any sense,
Right,
And it's just,
which is backward thinking.
they could not have planned a more uphill process to try and first go out in the Republican presidential primary for a tax increase. And then in the August primary, which most of the races in Isabella County that will be decided primary are Republican races. And, you know, out of Miller's proposals pass in Isabella County when the city votes for them predominantly. That's historically what has been the case, and you don't have a lot of Republican votes in the city.
yeah, I don't know, I'll forward the answers when he responds to stuff, but there was just different things like, you know, if the county's broke, like 122,000 miscellaneous. Miscellaneous what? That's a lot of miscellaneous, whatever that is. I don't know what it is either, but, or, you know, 165,000 in computers. Everybody get a new MacBook? That's a lot of computers.
Yes.
I don't know if they needed a new server or what that is, but
Part of my conversation with people has been also that salaries are an issue, that in order for us to have better educated, experienced administrators and attorneys and so forth, that we need to pay more money. I don't agree with that. I think that people that come here to Mount Pleasant, Isabella County, this is not a big county in terms of funding. So it's like when I worked for Mount Pleasant Public Schools, I knew that if I needed to make more money, I had to go somewhere else to do it. Although there were people on staff who said, no, they have to pay us more. And I kept saying they don't have any money to pay more. And that's kind of the thing that they're saying as well. It's natural for young people to come in as a young attorney, stay for a little while and leave. That's natural attrition.
yeah.
But they're trying to pay more money to keep people, and that's not gonna work, in my opinion. So, anyway,
I think if they asked for a millage too to compensate people for a shortage of employees, people would be more likely to pay that, like, hey, we need to be able to keep wages across the whole county, don't give everybody raises and then ask for more money.
Right.
Like they did it backwards. Like if
Yes,
there are
I
seats
agree.
that were open and they had a big need for it, I think it's easier ask, easier
agree.
pill to swallow.
Here's the curveball to that, though. We've all sat here and heard that the counties can't hire people, they understaffed, the sheriff's department's down 6 people, 8 people, whatever. So they've not been fully staffed at their budgeted levels. And they're still
Well, like,
eating into their fund balance.
that was my biggest question. How do you go from $4.1 million down to 1.3? You were short 6 or 7 officers, so in 2024, you budgeted for $7 million? That's a huge jump.
Mhm.
I don't think, you think they doubled the pay? I don't think that's enough to do it. An extra $3 million?
Tied to the jail, I'll bet,
I don't know.
that they won't be able to fill.
I don't know.
Well, that's the point. They
Right.
haven't shared enough.
Right, I mean,
I
$3 million, that's a ton of money, that's a ton of hours, I mean, I see our sheriff's bill, when we get it, like what the road patrols cost, and I don't know, it's just, it almost double. Curious to what he says about it,
Well, good. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah.
So,
I'll share it for sure.
Cool, thank you.
any other questions for Tim? All right, Sherman Township. See no one here from Sherman, so I guess there's no report. LFPOA,
Nada.
nada. Public hearings, we have none. This is the portion of the meeting for public comment. Please hold your comments to about 3 minutes and name and address.
Yeah, my name is Charles Osborne. I live at 1032 Cortez Drive. I think the village is gonna have to start reminding people by sending a letter out to them to keep their dogs penned up or fenced, because I've been seeing dogs run around my area. I've had Mark report to Mark twice now, and it's just, he can't keep up on everybody's doing it. Some of these people gotta learn to keep their dogs pinned up and stuff, because we got more than just cats stuff. We got animals around there, and dogs can be aggressive, especially with the pit bull breeds and stuff, if they're not raised right. And my concern is, my neighbor who walks his dog, he saw a dog running loose, and his dog is part now moved, which wants to kill another dog if it can. It won't give a thought. It doesn't matter what kind or what, it will. So there needs to be a letter getting to people, remind them, please keep your dog chained up or fenced in and no more running loose, because I've already had to come back yesterday to report it, and I don't, the day before, and I don't really want to have to do that every time.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we'll go on to existing business. 1-year auditor engagement. Mr. Wood.
As requested by the council last month, you have a proposal from Roslyn Prestige to continue our relationship with them for another year for auditing services. That is the engagement letter that they have prepared and sent over. The increase is consistent with previous increases we've seen with them. Just needs a council motion to approve.
Okay. Resolution is before us. Motion, I guess, would be before us.
I have read their letter, and I don't see a problem with it. So make that.
Motion made by Laraway to accept the 1-year auditor engagement letter. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Behringer. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, let's have a roll call on this.
Robert Laraway,
Yes,
Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes. Carrie Behringer. Yes. Joe Lati,
Yes.
Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Okay, short-term rental legislation update. Kind of interested in this too.
Guess what's back? In February, House Bill 5438 was introduced. This is new for the session, so the legislature runs on a 2-year session. This is a bill that would create, among other things, a registry, licensing, give locals, I think, a fair amount of oversight, but prohibit you from banning outright. I put this on the agenda in case the council wants me to lobby Senator Hawk or Representative Nyer a position on the bill. Because the MML's position is to support.
What's the rationale of the MML supporting this?
Well, this came through the committee that I chair, for the MML. And I very bluntly said, you know, I will be voting no, because this is not in the best interest of my community, but because we have a prohibition. But in terms of what we have seen for years on this, this is actually a pretty decent bill. And if it wasn't for the preemption of local control to ban it outright, there would be no concern on my part, because I do think there's enough in terms of ways you can regulate internally that you can keep it sane, that you're not totally preempted, you're not banned outright.
Why did they want to take the local, since you were on the committee, chairing the committee, why did they want to take that control away from a small community?
Because realtors have a lot of money and are the biggest lobbyist group in the world.
Okay,
And that's the guy.
That's what I was trying to get
Yeah,
at.
that's what you got.
okay.
So the Realtors Association is literally the most well-funded PAC in Lansing, at least they have been historically. And this has been a top priority of theirs for 3 sessions. And the previous attempts at this were very draconian, you know. There was nothing you could do at the local level. It all went back to the state to regulate. You know, this gives you as a community options that you can put a cap on the number. You can limit it in certain areas.
So is this House bill, is that, there's no riders on it, no additions or amendments to this House bill
It is
yet?
high barred with several other bills that deal with, tax and lodging taxes. Because
So
this is all
money
for,
for the state, yeah.
well, because one of the biggest objections you've had to short-term rentals, is from your Convention and Visitors Bureau. Because you have hotel tax being collected, you know, for those rooms that are being rented out. In short-term rentals, there is no bed tax essentially being collected that goes back into your CVB. So, these are all tie barred together so that they all have to be enacted for any of them to be in effect, but, with the idea that this will level the playing field, because now short-term rentals have to collect that same CVB tax as your hotel beds.
Well, what I'm saying is it's kind of a slippery slope because people really don't want short-term rentals in Shepherd. I'm nothing against Shepherd, but there's nothing there to attract them. So they're gonna carve out recreational areas only? You know, I mean, I can see the slippery slope going, oh yeah, well, if you have a lake and you're on the lake, well, then you can do it at lakes, but you can't do it in Beale City. You know what I mean? I don't like it.
I don't like it either, but
Oh, this is recreational area.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't read the whole bill.
So, my personal feeling is, yeah, I'd like you to, from my point of view, talk to representatives about it.
And who does
Go ahead.
Who does the monitoring? Address of the short-term rental, certification that the owner has $1 million, liability insurance.
it's,
The director shall prescribe forms necessary.
yeah, so they're, that's the definitions,
Yeah. I'm on page 4 right now, but
yeah. It is,
I'm working on this stuff in Grand Marais, like, we did a VRBO post and like you get. When you post on there, like, part of their fees is you get $1 million liability coverage.
it's part of going through that organization.
That's part of their fees.
Yeah,
Is
okay.
part of that, and I even checked with my homeowner's insurance. Just to make sure everything was legit, you know, before we start renting it and not having commercial insurance, and they're perfectly fine with it. It's like, because you get the added liability coverage and they didn't say anything about it,
Cool.
not a dollar more.
it's LARA, Licensing and Regulatory Affairs.
Got it, okay.
You know, so they're gonna have to be registered through Lara to do this.
No, we've had that happen once or twice here already, correct? Regardless of what our ordinance says, we still have had it occur.
So we shut them down.
Right. So we still could shut them down if they have not gone through the proper licensing part of it.
Well, we can still regulate it.
Right,
We
okay,
just can't prohibit it,
right.
Mhm.
but we can make it awful hard.
Well,
That's
This year.
terminology.
this year. And then when they,
Well,
I mean, this started off like Tim
under
said
this
about,
House bill, that's the
Right.
only thing I've seen. Right. We can't prohibit it, but we can regulate it.
so it says a local unit of government may enact and enforce reasonable regulations and may uphold zoning decisions for short-term rentals that do any of the following: safeguard the public health, safety, and welfare, including but not limited to fire safety standards and blight mitigation. Determine the number of units allowed to be used as short-term rental by any method of its choosing. Establish a process by which the local unit of government may reduce or expand the number of units allowed in subdivision B. Establish a process by which the local unit of government may revoke a permit under this act, including the process to challenge the application.
in the beginning of that, the weasel word is reasonable. Who
I-
gets to
that was-
decide
That
reasonable?
was the biggest red flag I had, was that.
Who gets to decide reasonable?
So as the local unit of government shall not enact or enforce an ordinance, rule, regulation, including but not limited to zoning ordinance, rule, regulation that has the effect of totally banning or prohibiting short-term rentals. So,
Still don't understand. I do understand why.
this does not take effect unless Senate Bill or 541 through 46 get enacted.
And the probability of this passing is.
I would give it a decent shot.
So if it does pass, then we have to do some work.
Yeah.
To decide how.
And I say that just by looking at the bill sponsors.
Yeah.
That they're all from one particular party that is the majority in both chambers.
Got it. They need to do it. Okay. So if you talk to someone, what's the probable outcome from that?
So the federal government comes in, rents a bunch of these things for 28 days for the illegal immigrants.
Another guy has someplace to live.
It's a tangled web.
It is.
Well, it looks like if it passes, we have no choice.
Correct.
The question is,
Oh.
you're talking to someone,
Yeah, I mean, we would ask them to take a position of opposition. We'd ask them to vote no on the bill when it
Got
comes
it.
up,
okay,
you know, and, actually any of the bills in that package, because they're all tie barred together.
Yeah.
So, that would be the ask that we would make of both of them. I can tell you that when Senator Hawk was in the House, he voted yes on the last time this bill was in a more draconian version, so.
Well, it's whatever the body wants to do.
I'm myself, I'm hesitant to file more on Tim's place.
Yeah, big deal.
There'll be a limited chance of success on it.
I'm neutral on it. I think that this is pretty vague, like you said, some of the words in it, if it's tie barred to other things. I hate when they do that. You never know what you're really getting into,
Right.
but I also have something to gain if this passes by not dealing with that in Grand Marais, so. So, I don't know. I gotta be neutral on it.
If Tim does talk to the people, maybe we can get a definition of reasonable.
No, no.
You are an
Any,
optimist.
any reasonable person would conclude that that's a reasonable request.
We're the government, we don't do that.
Gary, what do you think?
I let it ride.
Oops, same time.
But that's really our only option currently, so.
Well, I mean, about Tim talking to, him.
Oh.
As a unified voice, I don't wanna talk,
Yeah,
we don't wanna do it if everybody's not.
yeah,
Favor.
if that's what we want for the community and that's, something that's already been, decided upon, before, my meeting here, absolutely. They should discuss it and ask them to support what, our community wants, because that's what we're supposed to do, so.
Sure that we could, there aren't gonna be a lot of people in favor of it in our community. There'll be some,
Yeah, I would think.
1,900 people, I don't think a whole bunch. All right, well,
Is there anything that you would add
who-
that's for him to bring up in
Aye.
closing?
he was in charge of that committee and probably brought up everything that he could think of.
I mean, the only option I would ask that they could add would be if your local community votes to prohibit it, respect that. I mean, I think that would be a legitimate level of preemption right there, is if your community comes out and votes to adopt an ordinance banning it, that should be respected.
Yeah, that's the part that bothers me is.
Yeah.
That's a
Cause
good
there's all
point.
kinds of layers that we have, now
Yeah.
there's more work
Yeah.
for us to do and more money
Yeah.
for us to spend.
Mhm.
Especially if it's
To
something already,
no good, and we don't get any of it.
right?
And if we don't have road patrols, excuse me, but then who,
I mean, they're not
we're
paying.
gonna go to the house apparently
Right.
and chat.
Yeah, especially if it's something that's already in place before this bill is enacted, if it does, get passed, well, that'd be something to consider.
We did have several.
We do
people-
have it.
We did have several people do this through the last 4 years that I'm aware
More
of.
than that, yeah, we've had 3 or 4.
Mhm. And just because they thought they could. And then they shared they could not, but it was loud. It was not a quiet rental.
Because they're not held to anything. There's no
Right.
community there.
Yeah,
It's just a
this-
rental.
This is not the only place that's discussing this and dealing with this. As you all are aware, I was working with Belvedere Township for, the better part of the last decade. And this has been, a subject of discussion many times, and it's ever evolving too, this, the newest side of it, so.
I agree with I would say, if we could ask Tim
Mhm.
to at least request that we have the option to ban, then I'm fine. Because down the line, we might not want to ban, but
Sure.
right now, we might want to. That makes sense?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Village charter work session.
I'd rather not do the 21st.
You gave us a bunch of dates that you cannot be there, right?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, scheduling meetings is my least favorite part of doing
Yep.
this. 'Cause I have my schedule, you have your schedule. I remember what I offered for dates. So I have it right there.
We probably should do it before the April meeting, right?
That would be my thought. I think next week is probably a bear because of spring break,
How long do you think this would take?
couple hours, hour and a half, couple hours.
What about having it on the 2 hours? We changed the lake meeting, didn't we? To be then.
Plan.
Well, if there's no lake meeting, I'd like to have it on the couple hours before our meeting.
I won't be here.
You're not gonna be here for that meeting?
I'll be back.
Oh, you'll be back. Okay. Well, Wednesdays in April, when I looked at the calendar last, are all open for me, so. I don't know,
It's like the third.
third,
Is that the week you're talking about or the next week?
well, any Wednesday in, right, Tim?
I would
Yeah.
prefer
The third, the tenth, the seventeenth,
fine.
or
the
the
tenth or
twenty-eighth.
seventeenth.
10th, the 11th, it's fine.
So what if we pick the tenth? How many of you can do the tenth? No. How about if we pick the 17th?
My son's soccer starts the
Mhm.
10th every Wednesday.
Mhm.
Oh,
I could do the 3rd. I could do one of my husband's got a trip coming up. That he will be gone, so I won't have anyone to mess up my room.
Brent can bring his and they can have a war back there.
I'll drop my kids off at your house.
Yeah, there you go. They're good babysitters.
There's no sense in both of us missing the meeting.
oh my. Oh, gosh, okay.
Yeah, the second week of April, I don't think I'll have any childcare. Maybe the 3rd week or the 3rd.
17th, no.
It's, unless I skip soccer.
Yeah. That'll be
Very-
after our meeting.
Oh, good point.
So really, we're talking the third or the tenth, so we're talking.
Yeah, okay.
And you're gonna be gone the third,
Mhm.
and you're gonna be gone the tenth. And you like the third,
Yeah, I can do either.
either one?
I can do either.
Can do either. Bob?
Better than no.
Yep.
Toss coin,
So those are gonna be after the
Tenth.
third or the tenth.
3rd or 10th.
Or the April 1st. April Fool's Day.
Well. I don't know, I didn't check that date.
A Thursday,
Yeah.
18.
Tuesdays and Thursdays are pretty much out for me.
Yeah, ditto.
So is there a Monday,
Sunday.
Sunday?
Friday night tallies and
Oh, there we go.
No, we can do that.
or do we just wanna try and like add an hour to our meeting in April and just do a more
General?
general review of it?
Yeah.
That might be the less.
That might be the least onerous of them all.
Because the lake restoration is meeting on the 16th prior to the meeting, correct?
17th.
17, maybe. We don't know because there's nothing to make decisions about now.
Guy Savin wants to meet with us on the 17th.
Oh, yeah, why? Can I ask that?
As the meeting, as the,
You want to start the lake committee?
I
Huh,
wonder why, you know? Hmm.
okay,
But I like adding the hour to the meeting to that,
so the 16th, we're just gonna stay late?
kind of come early, I think, right?
Oh,
Did you want to do it before or after?
I do it during.
Okay,
Do it
we
during.
can do it
all right, fair enough.
at the end of the agenda then.
I like the tallies idea.
Can always go there after.
The 16th.
So that would be.
So it's just part of our
regular
village council meeting,
Yeah,
then
we're
we're
just
not
gonna
gonna do it on
I
a
think Paul might be back for that. I'm not certain yet. That's the one, Paul.
Okay. Okay, so.
That sounds good to me. Okay, new business, resolution 2024-03.
Your first item tonight under new business is resolution 2024-3. This is the first of the 2 resolutions annually required to be adopted by the village council to renew our special assessment district that levies a 1 mil assessment across the Broomfield Township side of the village. There is a small map up on the screen with the Broomfield Township side colored in mustard. Gray coupon, I don't know.
Yes, and this is something for the new members that we do every year.
We've done this every year since 2000. So the reason why we have to do a special assessment is the Sherman Township side of the village pays 1 mil for fire protection services through a township-wide voted millage. Villages are part of townships in the state of Michigan, so all of our village residents pay that 1 mil to the township directly for fire protection. Our Broomfield Township side of the village, if we did not do this, would revert to fire protection through the township, which for the northern half of Broomfield Township comes from Remus.
That'd be a good 20 minutes away.
Yep.
Yeah, service.
The ISO rating difference for this is actually a profitable scenario for Lake Isabella homeowners, because last time we looked into it, the difference, the ISO results in a reduction in your homeowner's insurance more than what most are typically paying for that 1 mil.
Correct.
So this resolution would set a public hearing for the May meeting. That meeting is when you would hear objections to the special assessment role, and then vote to formally adopt and renew the special assessment district for 2024, 2025.
So it's a two-step process.
Yep.
Adopt the resolution tonight, and then in May.
Yep. You adopt the first resolution to set the hearing, and you adopt the second resolution after the hearing to confirm the role.
Mhm. Any questions? Chair will entertain a motion. Moved by Shannon to accept resolution 2024-03. Second?
Second.
Mate. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes. Carrie Behringer,
Yes.
sorry, Joe Lati,
Yes.
Robert Laraway,
Yes,
Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carries unanimous. Okay, 2024 firework contracts.
In your fact, you have a proposed contract from Freedom Fireworks of Mount Pleasant, Michigan to conduct our 2024 Independence Day fireworks on July the 6th. About $17,000 last year. The community donated $8,830, give or take, top of my head. So our historical practice has been we try to go 50-50. You know, whatever they raise, we'll match, and that's kind of how we set it the following year. So 17 would be right in line with that number.
I think it's fair for a good show.
What's that?
I think that's fair for a good show.
I think it's, yeah,
I mean, if donations drop off this year, you know, we can reevaluate next year.
Yep.
And that's July 6th, right?
or volunteer to throw some money out there.
No, not this year.
Not this time. He's had a, this has
I'm
been.
gonna have my own GoFundMe or something. I'll sign over my village paychecks for fireworks.
I would have buy a life.
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by PV to accept the 24 firework contract, Freedom Fireworks. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Laraway. Further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Carrie Behringer,
Yes.
Joe Lati,
Yes.
Robert Laraway,
Yes,
Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes. Dave Torgerson.
Yes, motion carries 6-0, unanimous. Lake Patrol contract.
So best I understand the world, the County Board of Commissioners is voting to approve their half of the contract tonight. But this is the same contracting agreement that we've with the Sheriff's Department for probably a decade at this point in time. They provide free coverage for us for our fireworks show, and then we contract with them for an additional patrol above what they normally do. They do lake patrols normally. Like one in June, a couple in July, August, that range, and so they're done by Labor Day.
And this is the lake patrol.
This is the lake patrol, correct?
I have a question about that. Someone asked me and I didn't really know how to answer it. Why do we have to pay them to come to our lake, but like Coldwater Lake doesn't have to and Littlefield doesn't have to?
We pay them to come in addition to what they normally do.
Oh,
So they do all that, and they give us lake patrols as well. These are additional dedicated ones, it's like we do with the road patrol. So that's the difference.
And we use them mostly on the Fourth of July.
I mean,
Add extra.
We really want them then, so we have to pay them to come then, otherwise they show up when it fits their schedule.
Yeah, we sometimes weren't
I
on
thought
the
they only
schedule.
came 4 times. I didn't.
no,
Now, the extended service, are we allowed to elect when we want them there for the extra, or is it just kind of randomized?
there's, like, they have to do it at least once in June, as a long-standing practice, I do not know when they schedule stuff, because then people say, hey, when's, the road patrol is gonna be here, so I know to slow down, or when's the lake patrol gonna be here, so I know to have all the life jackets on my own. I don't know. Don't
Well,
know,
that's
don't
the
ask.
proper answer regardless, but,
Yeah.
you know, it would be nice to know, just so that we could, especially when we
Yeah.
elect dates, so that we could select the busy seasons that we want them here more.
Yeah, I mean, we do it for June, July, August. So they're off by Labor Day, they're here for Memorial Day. I mean, you could have boats on the lake a month ago already, that's true. Not swimming weather, but
My dog's in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, further discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept 2024 Lake Patrol contract.
Motion made by Peavy to accept the contract. Is there a second? Berenger? Second.
Got it.
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Since we're spending money, roll call please.
Joe Lucky,
Yes.
Robert Laraway.
Yes.
Brent Peavy,
Yes.
Carol Shannon, yes. Carrie Behringer, yes. Dave Ferguson.
Yes, motion carries unanimous. Village Council rosters and review.
yeah,
That sounds fun.
oh, yeah.
Rosters and our committees and I'm on.
So since we've had a little turnover in recent days, we do actually have a vacancy on the liaison committee that would need to be filled. But I also thought you guys should look at the full history of the committees and see if there's something you want changed or done differently. If there's a committee that we need to add, or
Well,
or someone's hankering to get off a committee.
so you had mentioned something about having a public safety committee. Well, as that was a thought
Yeah.
on your part?
I mean, that would be one that I think makes a certain degree of sense, since we have a voter approved millage to do road patrols right now.
Almost.
Yeah. Okay, so what would that entail?
Well, that would be something I would need feedback from this board on tonight, so I can come back with a resolution for next month's meeting to formally do that.
And it would be called what?
Well,
Probably Public Safety Committee.
public safety committee or something like that.
We may well need that, especially if we're going to pursue things differently with Road Patrol.
Almost like I'm thinking ahead.
I know that.
Yeah, let's add that committee and if we get people to serve on, yeah, it's there. We'll put people on it. You don't have to meet. I mean, it doesn't, none of these have to meet every day or every month. Some do. And we do have a vacancy on the liaison committee. Good place for somebody to get their feet wet.
What is the liaison?
Oh, about once every couple of months, is it?
You know,
every
we've
2 months?
not been doing a lot of liaisons since we had the lake committee.
Right.
You know, and that, you know, so we're meeting regularly with our brethren and sisters of the association through the lake committee. The liaison committee was kind of its predecessor that looks at all parts of the relationships between our two organizations. The lake committee is, I think, really focused just on that one aspect. We did try and schedule a liaison committee meeting earlier this year, and schedules just weren't gonna work out for people.
But that's just to keep open communication between the LIPOA and us.
Yeah.
We alternate where we meet. 1 month it's here, one time it's here, the next time it's over there. Just so we can make sure we have open communication, because some of those folks aren't on the Lake Restoration Committee. But that's the best communication we've had is because of that committee.
Absolutely.
Lake Restoration Committee.
Yes.
I'd be willing to volunteer for that.
Okay. Consider yourself on it.
And it's every other month.
Well,
It's quarterly. We have,
Quarterly,
yeah,
yes.
it's not very often. Or it could be, it depends if some issues come up.
Yeah, let's carry our side of those things. You'll probably take the kids to that one too.
Oh, I was kind of thinking like the.
We'll meet at,
Liaison, the safety? That would be good.
we'll meet at the park.
So you put a proposal together for the public?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so so you want some feedback right now, some brainstorming ideas, what we'd want on there,
yeah, I mean, I think,
what responsibilities it would have.
I think the initial responsibilities I would recommend you guys look at would be like, you know, review of, you know, contracts and, you know, objectives with relationships with the sheriff's department, whether it's lake patrols, road patrols, our fire contract, review, you know, policing, safety needs in the community.
The policing suggestions, like you suggested to
Yeah.
them, you want it more educational.
Cause I mean, it's also not just policing, I mean, public safety encompasses fire and rescue as well.
Right.
So, you know, things like this, you know,
Yeah.
would be
And the dive team.
dive team, you know, and we've supported the dive team through donation from the village, you know, periodically throughout the years.
Would animal control fall under them?
Good.
Yep, public safety, that'd be good.
I know that with the dog.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my whole time here. Quite a few run-ins, and it's never the same dog.
Yeah.
Is the issue.
And I've met a lot of dogs in the short time that I've been here.
More dogs than neighbors.
Yes, yeah, I'd say that's a safe statement, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just,
Fortunately, they've all been nice, but, you know,
yeah, mine. You know, it hasn't been that great, but. I'm just wondering like
Oh, that'd be
how much footing we have in looking at something like that.
okay. Any other suggestions for what goes into that? Yeah. So, part of it. Okay, well, thank you, Jim. Do that. Whip something together. Anything else on those committees? Anybody want to eliminate any of them?
People or,
Committees.
sorry,
Committee as a
I
whole.
just wondered. Sorry. Okay.
What's the election?
That's when we had we got together to have the last millage that we passed for the dredging,
Okay.
So the election commission is really not
standing.
anything anymore because
Right.
we used to conduct our own elections.
Right.
So that was the committee that was tasked with selecting inspectors and those type of things for the election. Amazingly, when the state consolidated the election law, they didn't actually go through and like really clean out the act, so they left things like this in the act, and so last year, when we did our millage vote for the dredging, the law is still written in a way that because we were the only thing on the ballot, state law gives our election commission the right to consolidate precincts. And so we did that. We'd already talked to the county, we'd already talked to the township, everyone is on board doing that. But that's really, I think about the only thing left in its wheelhouse would be a scenario like that. So like the general election this year coming up, they don't do anything, it's all for it, the township, so,
So I think it's still valuable to have.
yeah.
I mean, we won't do anything probably, but
Just in case.
just in case.
I mean, you could meet to tell me to send out the petitions for people to sign or
Or
whatever.
do we have to do something with the road roll?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay,
Personnel committee, as it's written on here, I see we still have Jeff Gray as the village clerk.
It's just an old document.
That's an old
Yeah.
resolution. I included all the past resolutions when we amended the committee structures.
Got it.
Well, he was quick to point that out. You need to update, like, you break your package out. You can see that I said these are previous resolutions.
I read it and didn't.
I said he was a narcissist. Just looking for your own name, Jeff. That's all.
okay. Code enforcement. Possible litigation.
Talked with our attorney this morning and he recommends, multiple civil infractions and requesting a formal hearing, so not going the circuit court.
Oh, really?
Correct.
Why?
Cost.
Got it.
So this is gonna get thorn in our side, basically.
So, we would issue multiple civil infractions, one for each of the violations. He recommended that we ticket both the male and female half that are the registered owners of the property. And then file, for a formal hearing with the court and ask the court for, declaratory judgment that these things have to be corrected and abated. So.
Okay.
All right, so apparently that's taken care of. Unless you guys still wanna go to litigation and spend the money.
Mhm.
I just want it corrected.
Yeah,
Right. So,
No, because this does not correct that we will evaluate this in the future, of course.
sure.
'Cause this, I know we touched on this at the last meeting too,
Okay. Anything else? About this? All right, second chance for public comment?
I have one question.
Go ahead.
And maybe I'm just off, but did we skip over the airport manager person? Let's see,
Committee, Airport Advisory Committee?
No.
okay.
There was just that airport, manager resolution, like an old one.
Yeah.
That's an old.
That's one, yeah.
yeah.
We have three. We have three airport managers.
Well,
And 3 planes.
Aren't you qualified?
I'm one of them.
You want-
I'm one of them.
I thought you would follow.
Former council member Al Davis is another one, and former planning commission member Tom Corser is the actual manager.
Oh, you just did a good group there.
Al and I are, the backstops if Tom's not around and,
Okay. So, public comment. Okay. Seeing none? Council comments? Okay, let's review those dates then, if there's no council comments, announcements. So 16th, and we're gonna have an extra long meeting because we wanna go through the charter. So plan on an extra
so are we gonna do that after or before? That's
during,
right, okay. So
but it'll be towards the end probably.
that's what I was asking, if we we're coming in an hour early.
yeah, I'll try and keep the rest of the.
No, we'll come in at the same
Okay,
time.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
Why don't we start an email for like the public safety, so we can start like putting some ideas out there and people can already start thinking about things?
That would be a violation of the Open Meetings Act to discuss that through email, sir.
Oh, you can't do any of
You can't do that.
that?
Not with us.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, if there's nothing else, for the good of the order, stand adjourned.